Naturally, it was around the castle that most of the early development took place, and today we have been left with a very rich heritage indeed. The world-famous makers of fine furniture, the Gillow Company, had their office on Castle Hill until 1882. They manufactured their furniture, mainly from imported mahogany, in the works at Green Ayr until 1962. At first glance, buildings like this just appear to be normal houses, but these narrow windows were originally where the hoist used to be. Not just a house, but an old factory workroom. The Pendle witches were taken through Stonewell and up Moor Lane to the moors above Lancaster to be hanged. It is said that they stopped off here to drink their last hearty ale. How much truth? That I do not know. My John Smead map of Lancashire shows the town in about 1610. The castle, the priory and several streets that still exist today can clearly be seen. But look how far upstream the bridge is. Nearly in the same position as that monstrous newly built Millennium Bridge. On Buck's engraving of the town in 1728, the bridge is still in the same position, and this meant that the sailing ships had to anchor in the river away from the town centre and offload their goods into small boats to the old quay. The castle and priory still dominated the town, and there were not many more houses than in Speed's time. However, all that was to change in the next few years. Suddenly the western ports of England had assumed a greater importance, as trade with Europe took second place to trade with the southern hemisphere, the colonies and the West Indies. Because of this trade by local people such as the Quaker ironmonger William Stout, a period of relative prosperity with many new high-quality buildings and streets appearing had arrived. St George's Quay, with its new custom house and warehouses, started in 1750. Lancaster, with merchants like Dodge and Foster, became part of the triangular slave trade, which saw the exporting of finished and trade goods to Africa, the ships transporting slaves packed like sardines to the West Indies, and then returning to England carrying rum, tobacco, timber, sugar and spices. A new bridge replaced the one further upstream in 1783. Skirton Bridge, designed by Thomas Harrison, was one of the first flat-deck bridges to be built in Britain. It's particularly beautiful. It's got 5 semi-elliptical arches and adornments, and it was obviously built to last. I love this bridge. Lancaster's streets may not be paved with gold, but they are lined with the medieval and Georgian architectural heritage that I believe is second only to Bath. Each building has its own story to tell, be it an ancient glassworks, a dispensary for the poor, where the infamous Dr. Buck Ruxton cut up his wife and maid in 1935, or where the rich and famous live their excessive lives. Just look around you and you'll be well rewarded. Number 76 Church Street, although now a private office, is occasionally open for public viewing. The house was originally built in 1673, but Henry Martin, a barrister, bought it in 1723, and he spent a fortune over the next 10 years converting it into a very fashionable Georgian residence. Good enough indeed in which to entertain bonny Prince Charlie.